And we're live.
We're live.
How you doing, Pablo?
Good, and you?
Excellent. Excellent. And that's the answer that I always give. Because people don't care if you don't feel good.
they, they don't want to know. And actually, even if you're not feeling good and you say, so, they don't want to hear it, right?
Most people don't. Now, if it's someone close to you, maybe, or something. You never know. You never know. But energy, I wanted to talk to you about energy, momentum, and having good energy. And I think that like in business, especially in sales, you don't have the luxury of not feeling good in front of a customer. It's like I heard Kobe Bryant in an interview. He said, when my fans came out to see me play, they didn't care if I didn't feel good that day, if I was sick, if I had a bad night, what I had going on personal. Remember when he had a lot of personal things
Yeah.
going on in his family and all that? They didn't care. They wanted to see me be Kobe Bryant. So yesterday, share with us what happened. You go to a place and you come out of there pumped. You go to a place for dinner and you run into a couple different people that you happen to stumble across, and you come out of there with all this energy and momentum that builds up because you get energy from people. Share with us how that went.
Well, Mom and I went to dinner at a local restaurant here, and walking into the door, just like 20 seconds after I walked in, I was looking at my time and the tables, and from behind me, somebody says, "Make sure you eat all that food, Pablo." And I turned around, and it was our friend Pia. And he was there with another gentleman, and we started talking, and it's just good, wholesome conversation. He's in business, he's a contractor, and he's doing things, and his other friends doing things, and it was just a nice mix. And then we sit down and we start eating our dinner, and halfway through it, another friend, his name is Eric, comes by and says, "Hey, you guys are going to eat all that food?" And then he was ordering food to take home, and Mom said, "Hey, why don't you sit with us and talk to us?" And he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's pumped, and he's a positive guy. And everybody's going through things
Sure.
in life, but you gotta look, I think, at the good in everything, because it's very easy to look at the bad things in everything. It's easier. It
Yeah.
takes a lot more energy to look at it in a positive perspective, and then try to move forward. And I get pumped. I really do. I get motivated talking with people that are creating things, doing new things, establishing businesses. Because you do see, oh, look, you drive down the street, and because of the pandemic, oh, look, that guy, that business closed down, and this
Yeah.
and that, and you feel for them.
Sure.
But at the same time, there are new businesses popping up.
It's the cycle,
It's a
right?
cycle.
And even in nature, right? They say that, like, sometimes you have the forests that need to catch fire. I don't know what it's called, but I guess naturally it needs to catch fire so that
Yeah.
the whole cycle can happen, and new will grow again, and it becomes like fertilizer almost for the and but energy is so important,
Oh,
and you can feed off of people's energy. Like I get together with certain friends, and I'm pumped after the conversation, because at the end of the day, I think it's creating, when someone is creating, and Patrick Bet David talks a lot about that.
he does. Yeah.
When you're creating your um, he talks about it leading to bringing people together and happiness. He thinks that when you're creating, you're happy. That's his perspective. I don't know that that's the case, but I do think that when you're creating, you have purpose. You have a reason to get up and do something. I was reading a quote, I think yesterday, on social media, and it said something about, I think he was talking about Michelangelo, that he saw an angel. I'm butchering this, okay?
Okay.
But he saw an angel, that was trapped within the stone, and he needed to bring that angel
Oh
out.
wow, that is very cool. I've heard that.
Something along those lines. And so,
That's very cool. Can you imagine that artistic brain? Because you have to chisel that stone down to something. But you saw something and you're bringing it out, you know? Oh man, that is very cool.
yeah. So when you're creating something, there's a reading, and I think that's why, like you say it all the time, you want to be creating and doing things until it's time for you to go to a better life, right? I mean, you want to, with your boots on. That's what.
God willing, that's the idea.
Yeah. But if you're doing something that you enjoy and you're creating, why not?
Why not? Why not? And in the process of doing all of that, you're also creating a better world. Because it's not just about us or you know. It's about, there comes a point in time when you realize that the best medicine is to give and to help.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, you can't take it with you, okay, whatever little you have. Because even if you amass a huge amount, it's still, in the whole scheme of things, very little. Because if you start looking at the universe, the number of years that, the world's been around, the moon, the sun, we are so insignificant.
Yeah.
If we could realize that. But when you're creating, hopefully you're doing something for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah.
In your own little pond. That was the idea. I remember getting together with my friends, my realtors over at the Arcadia board, and we would talk about that from time to time. Because even if it was during the pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and you can look at things that, certain areas are falling apart. You look at that, you try to help if you can, and then you create,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, like Abuelo Pablo would say, que el mundo se está acabando desde que empezó. The world's been falling apart since it started.
Ever since he was a kid.
And so,
And and it hasn't fallen apart yet. So,
yeah, so it's the same kind of story. You just got to look at the positive and get ahead and try to do the best. And you made me think of, or also the saying where someone can drown in a glass of water.
right.
Because you've been in business over 30 years, almost 40 years.
40 years almost. Wow.
But I met people that are in business for that same amount of time or less and become cynical. They look at it now with an angle of, it's very negative, and it's very, it's not an optimistic point of view, right? What do you think that some of those people are, why do you think they go that route? Because from my perspective, I think maybe they're tired. And when they're tired and you're always comparing at what was 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you're always trying to chase what was. It's like the person that they say, you're chasing the last high. An addict is always chasing the last high, and you'll never get it. Is what I've heard, right?
Yeah.
And read into that. What do you think it is that person who's been in business that long and becomes cynical, that's changed for them?
I have some friends that border on being cynic, okay? And we get together and we talk a lot. It's easy, I think, to become cynical if you get battered over and over and over again. So, and you said also, they get tired. They're tired of doing what they're doing. There comes a point in time, and what I'm thinking about is some of these boxers that they're in their prime and they're boxing and they're knocking people out. There comes a point in time when it's time to retire. And in those kind of sports, boxing, professional football, soccer. Soccer can last a little longer.
It's clear when your time has come.
Yeah. And it sometimes is very difficult to face that moment, okay, where you're saying, I gotta go. In boxing, you won't get more fights, but if you're getting them all beat up, you're gonna potentially get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes the atmosphere telling you it's time to get out, as opposed to you having the maturity, let's say, or the wherewithal to be able to say, okay, it's time for me to get out. In our business, okay, we're not faced with that kind of drama.
Physical, but you're faced with stresses.
You are.
I mean, we know people and acquaintances and friends that
Very
the stress has taken them out.
Taking them out. You're right. And so it's having a goal, and something to do in the morning, to get up every morning and to do this goal, to create something. And also, for whom? Who are you doing it for?
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your family? Are you doing it because you love it? You have fun at what you do. And, for example, in the case of Mom, she was in her business for 37 and a half years. And in the last 2 years, it wasn't as fun anymore.
Right.
The company had gotten a little bit more strict. There were more guidelines,
Yeah.
more structure, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And so,
Yeah.
fortunately, she was in a position that she could get out.
Because if it's not fun anymore, the staff will feel it, and the energy will be there, and then the clients will feel it. It's like our friend Christian. His thing is success is contagious.
Right.
Energy is contagious. If you have a positive energy, like for example, this morning we were at the new office, and it's a great energy in there.
Yeah. Thank
The
God.
lights in there, and I've walked into, in my previous career, I worked with about 15 different offices, but I walked into a lot of offices trying to form partnerships with new ones, and I didn't get partnerships with those, but I walked into those, and you feel the energy walking in the door. And some of them was like high pumping sales, good environment, and other ones was very dark energy, like you could just feel it. It's like a dog can sense it can sense fear. It smells it, right? It's a hormone or something that we release.
Yes.
And it can tell when you're fearful. That's why, like Shiba, our dog is, he has a bark that's very loud, and it's a little bit aggressive of a bark. And sometimes he catches me off guard where I think this guy can bite me and hurt me. But if I show fear to this guy, so I have to talk myself into, hey, he wants attention and he's just playing. Which at the end of the day, he's playing, but he'll sense it.
You know what? You just remind me of Jordan Peterson, that he says, you have to be, how does he say it? I'm going to butcher this, but you have to be able to be an animal. That you have to be able to destroy someone or be powerful enough to hurt someone, but you have to control it.
Correct. You have to be a formidable foe. You can't be a weak person who cannot give you any sort of resistance.
Right. You can't be weak. You have to be able to be a formidable opponent, and then control that.
A formidable opponent, and then have self-control.
And have self-control.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so you reminded me of that because
what he's saying is if you are not a formidable opponent, then
you're going to be taken out.
No, he's saying you're not using self-control. If you're a black belt and you're not, and I'm making fun of you and picking at you, and you unleash your powers on me, more power to you. You're the superior.
Right.
But if you're a weakling anyways, and I'm making fun of you and and you're not unleashing your powers on me, it's because you can't. So
Right.
what he's saying is there's more power to the guy or the woman that has the ability to destroy and doesn't.
Right. It's very important.
It takes me
Actually, I
to
never thought about it that way until Jordan Peterson.
oh he it's a great way. I mean, the man is something else.
Yeah.
When I started doing martial arts with our friend Sensei Bill, family Sensei Bill, um, shout out to Sensei Bill. He One of the first things he said that would happen was people would come up to him because he was a trainer in mixed martial arts, and people would come up to him and say, "Oh, I want to learn to do mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, this," and he would assess the person. "Oh, why do you want to learn it?" And he would kind of do like an assessment of the person, and if he saw that the person was, "Oh, because I'm always getting into fights at the bar and this and that," he would not train them, because you're gonna make a person who has no self-control dangerous now.
Oh, wow.
But if you have somebody that comes in and says, well, because I want to increase my discipline, I want to become physically better in shape, I want to, my mental, then he's like, okay, I can teach you, because you will be able to have those weapons and not use them unless necessary.
Wow.
And that's one thing that I think is so cool about martial arts. And these guys that are extremely dangerous, that do jujitsu, like Jocko Willink and Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
you can't. Joe Rogan was sharing a story that I heard the other day. He was with a fighter, and I think another fighter and comedian, Eddie Bravo, and there was a situation where this guy was coming into the hotel room kind of drunk. Some other guy they didn't know, and it was Joe Rogan and his two buddies, and the other guy thought that they were going into his room, but they weren't. It was the room next to it. And the drunk guy's like, "Hey, what are you doing? That's my room." This and that, starts calling them out. And then Rogan's like, "You don't want to," he says, "you want to kind of fight." And then Rogan's like, "Hey, buddy, do yourself a favor. You don't want to fight this guy, because the guy's a mixed martial arts, his buddy." And then what happens is the guy, they calm him down, whoever was with the other guy, and they kind of talk him out, and they're walking away. And the other buddy, Eddie Bravo, which is a funny guy too, super jiu-jitsu guy, he says, "Hey, what happened? I thought you wanted to fight." The guy turns around, comes at him, and the other buddy, who's also an MMA guy, takes him down, puts him in some sort of lock immediately, and puts him to sleep.
Wow.
Now, maybe they have that. He has control of it. He wasn't going to hurt the guy. But these people are dangerous.
Oh,
If you see somebody with cauliflower ears, run the other way.
run the other way. You know, now that you bring this up, the other day they were evaluating a back kick, and apparently Joe Rogan is number 2 in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I saw him doing some back kicks, and you'll be hard pressed to survive one of those.
He'll break
Oh,
a couple ribs.
you'll fly 10, 15, 20 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I saw Joe Rogan do.
If you're not, especially if you're not prepared for that hit.
Oh,
I mean,
and he's fast, and it's all in the spin. And I saw him do it. Apparently, he's number 2 or number 3 in the world.
wow.
The strongest, fastest back kick you can. There's a video out there of him kicking a bag, and that bag, I don't know if it's 200 pounds or whatever, but that thing swings back.
Yeah. Can you imagine the power? The power of a kick?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Well, that's how. Well, it wasn't a kick; it was a punch that killed Houdini. Did you know that?
Oh, because he had internal bleeding and he didn't check himself and went ahead.
Yeah, because one of his tricks that he would do on stage was he'd have some super strong guy punch him in the stomach. And actually, David Blaine does the same trick. and David Blaine had, who's also passed away now. This gentleman, not David Blaine,
Not David Blaine.
um, this UFC fighter, Kimbo Slice.
Oh,
He had Kimbo Slice, massive guy, do it to him, punch him in the stomach, and David Blaine took the hit. If you believe that he's really taking the hit.
I think with Houdini, and I do remember something about it, but with Houdini, the guy hit him before he was able to.
Correct.
Uh,
He wasn't expecting the punch, or he wasn't properly set up for the punch.
he wasn't set up. I think he had brought him on stage or to punch him.
Yeah.
He says, "I hear you can take a punch, this and that." Yeah, I can. You wanna? But the guy hit him before he could muscle up and restrain and stuff.
And he died of internal bleeding, I believe.
And he started. Yeah, what happened? Yeah. I don't know the details. I think he went ahead into another show and then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he continued, I think, his night of performances or whatever he was doing. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like these people who are catching bullets, and yeah, they're doing those tricks where, yeah, they put the thing in their mouth and they catch a bullet. David Blaine's done it too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I'm
It's
not that
not-
intrepid.
yeah,
I don't
but
want to do it.
but what they do is they have something in their mouth that if you shoot it, it catches the bullet. But if you miss or something like that, they're dead. And a
Oh.
lot of these guys, I'm sure, died trying to do magic tricks.
But energy and momentum is important. Look, I was reading a long time ago The Art of the Deal. And Donald Trump, he was in some high-rise hotel or something, and he came up to a gentleman who had been extremely successful and apparently was in the process of losing everything or had lost a great portion of his fortune. And Donald Trump went up to him and he says, "Hey, what happened? What happened to you?" And the guy turned around and said, "I lost my momentum."
Mm.
That energy behind you that propels you forward quite a bit, and you can tell
Yeah.
in a business, when a business has momentum, when a person has momentum,
Yeah.
you're on a roll, right? And things are happening and things are clicking and you're able to continue and you see it coming and you prepare for it and you thrive in it. And so momentum is extremely important.
Yeah.
If you lose momentum, it's very hard to get it back.
Not impossible.
No.
You just gotta get back down and dirty. And
Well,
but
you got to motivate yourself into whatever it is that
Yeah.
that you're doing. Another thing that you reminded me of is, how you said that Kobe, sometimes he wasn't feeling all that strong to.
he got sick.
Yeah, whatever.
He had
was.
bad ankle injuries or
Yeah,
knees,
Yeah.
whatever.
So this lady that sang Cuban music, Celia Cruz,
Hmm.
she was going to do a large performance. And just before that, I think like 30 minutes before or an hour before, she got news that her mom had died back in Cuba. And she wasn't able to see her for years because it was a communist country. She couldn't go back in there, and her mom had passed.
Wow.
And she was told just before her performance. And somebody said, "Do you want to cancel the performance?"
Mm.
And she said, "No, I can't."
Wow.
The people out there are, how God knows how many of them travel, God knows how far, through plane, whatever, and they're expecting me to go out there and perform, and that's what I'm gonna do. And as the story goes, she performed, she did a great job, she came back and then cried herself to sleep the rest of the night because her mom had passed away. So it's very interesting. These people have this
She's about to be put on the
Pop.
quarter, the U.S. quarter. By the way,
Huh?
she's about to be put on the U.S. quarter.
Oh yeah.
Celia Cruz.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
but she. I mean, can
it's
you
this
imagine?
fortitude of character that
And the dedication that she had to her fans and her craft, and
correct.
she was someone that had amazing energy. My
Yeah.
gosh, Celia Cruz was powerful, and
Well, her voice projected and is just
there were people that almost didn't need a microphone. It seemed,
right.
but she, I guess one of the issues also was that she spoke. He was outspoken against the communist government,
Of course, against Castro.
and
And
they
as a
didn't.
punishment, he never allowed her to see her mom. And as a consequence, her mom of old age or passed away, and she was never able to go back
Yeah,
to see her.
yeah.
And so,
It got to a point where I think he wasn't allowing her to do concerts or something. There
right,
was another thing,
yeah,
but yeah, no. Some people just have this charisma, and it is magnetic.
correct. Like
It's
we got a
magnetic.
couple of friends that they're always super energetic,
Yeah,
super positive. It's in their nature.
yeah. You can tell when people are, even people. I'm thinking of like on screen or on musicians and things like that. Some of them have this energy that um, I don't know why I was thinking Frank Sinatra. I was thinking Frank Sinatra, how he had like this really cool. He was a
By
vibe to him, but he just people were attracted to him, and it reminds me of this one time we were at Thanksgiving, and Jorge, our good friend, told Paul that Paul had something, and I always get the name wrong, so let me look this up. But it was an African word for this something that people are attracted to him, and I don't remember. Let me get the word right here. It was it's a Cuban word, and
I'm sure when you say it, I'll remember.
Yeah, I don't know why I think it's cache, but I don't think it's that. It's another
Maybe.
word, but it was basically that he had something that people and I've always seen that with Paul.
Yeah.
People have always gravitated towards Paul. I've had to fight for
Well,
it a
kids
little more.
did. Kids
Kids
do.
and people,
Kids, yeah.
just people.
He has
in
like a
general.
magnet for children. They love him.
Yeah, but some people have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a
Like,
gift.
I have a buddy, my buddy Randy. He was always like, even when, so in high school, he had friends with every group.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you had different groups.
Yeah,
and
little
the-
clicks.
Yeah, the clicks, and some of them were rockers, some of them were into hip hop, some of them were into. But he was always cool with everybody. And then I remember he went into the bar scene, and he went into the and moved up very quickly because he had this magnetism where people just liked talking to him and hanging with him, and he was funny and this and that. There is, and when he was working in cafes, making coffee, people were just so
Attracted to him. Yeah.
I think it's
they have
something
that
that you're
energy,
born
that
with.
aura.
I think you're born with that.
I think so. Yeah, your friend Jai also comes to mind.
Yeah.
He's like that. Super positive, very amiable.
Yeah,
And people want to hang around with people like that, because, I mean, if you're upset and, not happy and you're down in the dumps, I mean, who wants to hang around with people like that,
yeah,
I mean, there's times where, you probably feel down,
well, yeah. Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
But, for the most part, people don't want to hang around with people that are negative and, negative energy. And it's extremely important at the job site because, like they say, one bad apple spoils the.
Yeah.
So, you got one person that's got some bad energy or whatever, and or they come in with problems because they have issues at home and they bring them to the work site.
Yeah.
It is a problem. You don't want to be insensitive to people's needs, because we all need each other. Like the song says, lean on me. We all gonna need to lean on someone at some point.
Yep.
Um, but uh, you just gotta be very careful not to let it spread, amongst the others, because uh, just like Christian says, being positive contagious. What is
Success.
it? Success is contagious, which is absolutely. I believe in that.
Yeah.
So is the other thing.
Yeah.
The negativity. Like the person that says I can do it, he can, and the person that says he can't, he's right also. He can't do it because he's already given up mentally.
It's like that story of that guy that you said. He goes to work and they're playing a prank on him, his coworkers.
Oh yeah.
And one guy says,
Hey Tom, are you feeling okay?
"Yeah, you don't look that great.
You
You
don't look
feeling
that
okay?"
good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
doing
I'm doing
good.
fine. And then the other buddy, there were like 4 or 5 buddies that got along,
Yeah.
to do this prank on him. And then the other guy, hey, you don't look good. And go, really? Steve just told me that. I go, and then the fourth one, and then the fifth one. And before, it's a true story. Before 11 a.m., he clocked in at 8. Before 11 a.m., he went back to the floor manager and says, hey, man, you know what? I'm going to clock out today early. I don't feel good at all. They stuck that idea in his mind. It's a social experiment.
Yeah.
And you got 5 or 6 people telling you, hey, you don't look good. You look really pale today. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
And then the next guy, have you gone to the doctor? I mean, they'll do,
Oh, for sure.
Oh, if you don't, I think it's cruel and unjust.
Yeah.
But it's a social experiment that was done, and it's true.
People
you become-
influence us,
Absolutely.
and it's best to surround yourself with people that are going places and
And positive.
creating things.
Yeah. And of course, you have your friends that not everything that happens always is going to be good.
Of course.
Unfortunately,
That's not life.
It's not life. And so you have to have some empathy.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I have a tendency to walk away quickly away from people that I believe are very negative
Yeah.
or problematic.
Yeah. Some people do just bring things onto themselves sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, I think we all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make the bed you sleep in, hands down.
There's things you can't control, and then some, and a lot of things you can, and the things that you can, hopefully you are pushing ahead and trying to have good energy, and that good energy will connect you with other people with good energy.
Right.
That's the way it seems.
Yeah. And then you keep moving forward because, life is short, my friend.
Cool. Wrap it up there.
All right.